Hello and welcome back to another edition of Ask Cheshire TV. I'm Mark Nelson, Executive Director here at Cheshire TV, and I am joined today by someone who has been walking these hallowed halls for many moons since he was so high, knee-high to a June bug, as they say, Mr. Elias Elliot, who is the host of Auditory Story here on Cheshire TV. And the reason I have you here is to inform you and the people at home that you're under arrest. So boys, could you, oh, well, they're not here yet. So you have been here. I kind of want to share your story with everybody because it's very interesting. So how old were you when you first got connected to Cheshire TV, and why did you ever show up at our door?
Well, I believe the first time that I arrived here, I was 12, but at that point, the former director was not really sure about what I was doing here either. And I didn't really start doing anything here until I was 13, which was maybe just a couple months later, I think. And a few years before then, my uncle had sent us a really small digital camera, which had a video capability. So I had started using that to shoot movies at home with mostly my sister. And a friend of my brother's had a slightly nicer video camera, and we were also shooting movies with that. And I wanted to expand on that and use more advanced equipment. And so I asked my mom, is there anything that anywhere I could find this equipment in Keene? And she told me about Cheshire TV, and I came in, and it was wonderful.
And you were an example of people can be members here at Cheshire TV if they're below, under a certain age. There's no, I don't know that we really have an age minimum, but you sort of have to come in and have your parents sign off on it, which is what your folks did. They got memberships on your behalf and they signed off. So saying if you messed everything up, it was their money that would be handed to us across the counter to replenish it. Yes. And you came here looking to do filmmaking, which some people do. Some people come and they want to do a show like this. Some people want to help us shoot things in the field, and some people want to do short films or videos, which is totally cool. That's what you did. You shot a bunch of very inventive little videos and short films over time where you were playing multiple roles and doing in-camera special effects and all that. And I guess, what skill level did you come to us with at that age? And then I guess tell the folks sort of what skills you have picked up since you've been here. I mean, you went on to become part-time summer help. You became, you helped us shoot the last Pumpkin Fest that we did, various field crew, various office staff and all that. But when you came here, what skills did you have and what did you pick up, I should say?
I think when I came here, I didn't really have any skills.
Okay.
I knew pretty much only what I had learned from watching my uncle shoot a film that I had been in when I was 7, I think. So I didn't really know anything, and I was hoping to learn a whole lot. And pretty quickly I've learned, I understood the basics at that time of pointing a camera at something, pushing the button on the camera to record things, but I didn't have any of the skills of framing a shot or composing shots in a sequence, or any of the rules about that. Or I should say rules, because
best practices.
Right.
Yeah.
And in the film industry, rules are really meant to be broken. Some people might say that other places, but I think this is a place where they
what we don't get.
Often are.
We always say we don't get involved with content here, but if people want help or if people want tips, that's what we're here for, is to help. So I think part of what we did when you came in was you were looking for a little guidance here and there, and we were saying, well, you can do it this way, and here's a way to do it, and if you want the maximum impact, you can do it that way. And you took that, or you accepted or denied that on your own and went off and made the shorts that you did. And one of the things I was impressed by, or all of us were that if you didn't know something, you'd ask us, but you also would utilize the web browser functionality of our edit computer and look up YouTube tutorials on how to figure out certain programs or problem solving and stuff like that.
Yeah, especially with doing special effects in the editing programs, that you here don't do any of.
Not really.
Or maybe a little bit of similar type stuff for doing an intro maybe. But a lot of that I did use Google and found plenty of YouTube tutorials to help me. And also here you have a few books on filmmaking, and I read, I think, almost all of those.
And those are very basic, like basic lighting, setting up your shots, storyboarding, things like that. And those are geared a little bit more toward the filmmaking type of video work than news gathering or TV production, which is what the majority of what we do here are. And the things that you shot, I think, still run on the channel as filler. I mean, if you're not shooting something that's an hour and a half or an hour or 90 minutes or a solid big block of time, we run it between shows. And I think we're still running things that somebody could feasibly be watching you as you look now on your current show, and then after that it's followed by you as a 12-year-old, much shorter, running around fighting aliens or being kidnapped by yourself. So you now do your own show. You've been doing your own show in the studio for a while, and could you tell folks what that show is and how it came about?
So on my show, I read Anna Karenina. I usually get through about 2 or 3 chapters each episode, which is half an hour, and the chapters are pretty short. And I wanted to do this show for a few different reasons. I really enjoy reading aloud. And also I wanted to read Anna Karenina, but it is such a massive book that I felt that if I didn't have some exterior schedule making me read it every week,
right,
that I probably wouldn't be able to get through the whole thing.
It's a fascinating way to achieve a personal goal, is to connect to some other organization who's badgering you to make sure you come and do it every week. That's pretty cool. So how far into the book are you now?
I think I'm about a third into the book.
Okay. And here's the interesting part. You're leaving for college relatively soon. So are you going to leave your viewers hanging, never knowing what happens to Anna and all the little Kareninas? Or do you plan to continue this remotely?
Well, at the college I'm going to, which is Ithaca College, they have a TV studio set up there where I could continue to shoot my show and send it back here to Cheshire TV to have it continue to air every week. So
people will not come and petition us that they'll never know how Anna Karenina ends, or they are so used to your silky smooth tones they don't want the voice in their head reading Anna Karenina to them. They want your voice. So it's good to know. You've heard it here first, folks. Anna Karenina will continue on Cheshire TV, if from afar in a slightly different looking studio. You should force them to build a studio that looks like what we use here.
I think that'll be a little more tricky than just shooting it there.
That's out of my hands. So also why you're here is that you are, we do a Cheshire TV Scholarship every year. And for the last 2 years, we've had the winner of the Cheshire TV, and this is no surprise to this gentleman. The winner of the Cheshire TV Scholarship comes on here and tells their story, which their story generally is why they got the scholarship. And what that is any full-time student in high school or college in our coverage area can apply for this, and we award either 2 $500 scholarships or $1,000 scholarship if it's only one applicant and they're deserving of that, to somebody who's going to study in the arts, and that is your plan. So what are you going to, you're going to Ithaca, and what's your course of study going to be there?
I believe it is called a cinematography and a photography major.
Oh, cool.
It's combined for the first year, I think, or maybe the first 2 years, but then it splits off into cinematography and photography, and I'd be focusing on cinematography.
And is that, obviously it's not film they're shooting there at this point, right? It's probably the red camera or some digital format at this point. It's
actually both. They do have
really?
A few courses that use a 16mm camera.
That's fascinating.
So I'm really looking forward to working with that.
That's when I went to school, it was still film, and I went for film production. So it was Super 8, and then you went up to 16, and at that point, 16 is as far as you would go. And even then, those gauges of film were kind of waning. So it's really cool to know that 16 still exists and that you can do it, and that in theory you could get that shown. Well, I guess you could get digital shown on a big screen too, but if you ever came back to Keene, you could go to the Putnam Theater at Keene State and they have a 16 set up, so you actually could get it projected on a movie-sized screen, which nice. Very few theaters anymore have that capability anywhere. That was never very common anyway. So you applied to this Cheshire TV Scholarship, basically telling your story of how you were involved for so many years and that you're still involved and that you wanted it, and you were the recipient. So you have yet to receive that award, and I wanted to wait until we were in the studio where we could squeeze the most drama out of it to tell you that we don't have the money. Sorry. No, actually we do. I have a check for you, and this is something I've been waiting for a really long time. Not only to give you this, to thank you for your years of service and camaraderie and all that, but to be able to give you a giant check, because I've always wanted to give somebody a giant check. So we can, I can be handing you the giant check, and we can be giving the thumbs up, and they can freeze frame that, and I can be handing you the giant check, and we can be shaking hands, which is very awkward. You have to look. Like that, they can freeze frame that, and then people can pull frame grabs of the giant check, and they can they print it up wallet size, perhaps 8 by 10, maybe glossy, maybe matte finish. I'm not sure if you want to go crop it vertically or horizontally. Horizontally makes more sense, but that's actually yours to keep. It's not good. It is literally not worth the paper that it's printed on. But if you want to take that, and we may want the cardboard back to use again for next year, but you can actually have that and hang that up, which I think is just hilarious. And he actually is going to get an actual physical check that. We're just going to have a couple bake sales, and we'll get that right to you. Maybe around July of 2024. You'll still be in school by that point, right? So it's a long program. No, but honestly, thank you, and I'm so happy to hand that to you because you deserve it, and it's been great having you around all these years. And I also think giant checks are funny. I really hope, he's going to an orthodontist appointment after this, and I want you to arrive with this huge check under your arm and see if they'll check your check. Like a coach. You have a check here? I have checks mixed. Do you have a checks check? So what do you have, if you have any thoughts or feelings, anybody who might be watching that you might want to explain about Cheshire TV from your point of view, or any other youths who might want to get involved based on your experience? Because yours is very unique or very interesting, because you came in at about the youngest we've ever seen anybody come in, and you've stuck with it until you're off to college. And you went from somebody who was doing very little things to fairly complex things. I mean, what's the longest production that you did on your own?
27 minutes and 30 seconds.
So that's a TV half hour. That's probably beyond a current commercial TV half hour. So you went from a few minutes long to TV half hour length.
Not exactly. That was one of the first things I did with the Cheshire TV equipment.
The 27 minutes?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a different, okay, go ahead.
The actual first thing I did was only a minute or two.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
It was close to the beginning that I made that half hour. And since then I've been making shorter things because the production quality of the half hour was not what I wanted it to be. And also the original script, if I had been able to shoot everything, would have been close to an hour. But because of people's schedules and things, I wasn't able to shoot the entire thing. So I've been focusing on shorter things that are a little easier to schedule and make look good.
That's what I always found was the hardest part in doing anything narrative was other people. And I always joke, it's hard to shoot everything when you're by yourself. You kind of got around that with casting yourself, and you are on both sides of the camera more or less, but it's always tricky when you need people. You need somebody to hold a boom mic. You need somebody, ideally more than one person, to be in front of the camera. So that totally makes sense. So in our last 6 minutes or so, do you have any words of wisdom for youths or those who are maybe curious about being involved or don't have any idea about being involved, or anything based on what you've done here the last 6 years, is it?
Yes, just about 6. Well, I guess if you're interested, walk in here and tell them that you're interested. If you don't tell them that you're interested, they'll never know. And that would just be a shame. But
man's a genius.
And I don't know more than that. I mean, it sounds simple, but really if you walk in here and tell them that you're interested and you really are seriously interested, they will give you something to do here and maybe even teach you a few things. Maybe
not. We try. I always say it's funny too is that you were directing Cinemaniacs, where I sit in this very position in this very room and looking in this very direction, and we look up one day, and at the end of the credits, there's all these freeze frames. And we're like, we didn't even know the switcher could do that. Or there's split screen. And what we've always enjoyed was you would poke around and fiddle with things and figure things out. And I always tell people, seriously, we learn from the members as well. I don't want to say we learn more from the members than we do them from us. That's just being too modest. But people will play around and figure out things that we don't do in the course of our normal workday here. And it's like, hey, cool, now we know we can do that. So that playing around and being silly, and it was very amusing, let us know that there's this other element to what can be done here. And then we can then tell other people about that. So it's a two-way street, which I'm a big fan of here. So I know you have to go and get your mouth mangled or dismangled.
That's the hope in the long term. Anyway.
Okay, well, some people are individuals. Somebody's like, my teeth are a little too straight. Crook them up. So we thank you for coming. We hope you will enjoy the large check and the little one, and we'll bid you a fond farewell. For the moment, you're still around for a while to do more Anna Karenina. And we thank our viewers at home for watching. If you have any questions, if you literally would like to ask Cheshire TV, the email address is askctv@CheshireTV.org. Our phone number is 603-283-6621, and we are located currently in the basement of the Keene Public Library at 60 Winter Street in the K. Fox Room, where the book sales used to be. So until next time, I am Mark Nelson, Executive Director of Cheshire TV. That is Elias Elliot, winner of the 2017-18 Cheshire TV Scholarship and host of Auditory Story, and we will see you on TV.